This type of mindset is very easy to manipulate. All you have to do is dangle a shiny object and make everything sound easy and quick, because that's what they want to hear. And so how do you break this cycle if you're caught inside this? And how do you ensure that you don't get sucked into this madness like everyone else? Well, I'm going to tell you shortly, and there's 5 steps. But before we get into the 5 steps, I want to share something with you. The difference is the mindset. It's as simple as that. The difference between successful people and the everyday dreamers. And there are reasons why people fall victim to these magic shows. As I said earlier, successful people all have common traits. Unsuccessful people all have common traits. So as I go through this list, decide which side of the fence you're on and see if you want to adjust from one to the other. So I've been doing this for 25 years. And I've learned so much about people and how they behave, why they say things, why they don't, what they do, I can analyze like in 15 minutes, whether you are going to be successful or not, based on what you tell me. It's not that complicated. It's actually very, very easy. The people who struggle, people who never get traction, people who wonder what goes on around them, they all have self-sabotaging traits. So what are these? Well, there's 5 questions to see if you're sabotaging yourself. And I'm talking about your success, both in your business and in your life. The first thing is, what do you focus on? So pretend you had a torch stuck on your head. What does it shine? That's like a reflection of your mind. What does your mind think about most day and night? What are your most dominant thoughts? This is a reflection of how you are living your life right now. Are you living in chaos or drama or whatever it is? Wherever your torch is shining, this is the path you have chosen to walk, whether you like to believe that or not. This is the truth. Where you shine the torch is where you focus. What do you do with your time? What do you do with your money? How much fear do you have? Because the fear is really what stops you from taking action. Things like criticism, risk, failure, success. I know success too. Believe it or not, people are scared of success. Self-doubt, self-belief. Do you play above the line? In other words, do you always play the victim when something goes wrong? You lay the blame on everyone else because it's never your fault, and you love excuses. This kind of stuff, playing below the line, stops you from growing. You have to grow as a person, as an individual, as a human being in order to be successful. And success, I've defined what I mean by success. You can't keep walking around the bottom of the mountain where it's easy and safe and expect to eventually see the view from the top. You have to eventually climb out of your comfort zone, or you'll never see anything other than ground level. So let me break this down a little further. The difference in mindsets between everyday dreamers to successful people. What is the difference? The first thing is, everyday dreamers, the linear lie. What does this mean? The linear lie is people who, it's an employee mindset. I work, therefore I get paid. I work some more, therefore I get more money for my pay. That's called the linear lie. That's what employees do. You cannot have that mentality when you become an entrepreneur and run your own business, because there's no guarantees. The mindset is, I have to have effort, patience, commitment. So if I plant a seed today, hopefully, because there's never any guarantees, and anyone who tells you there's a guarantee, they're lying. You will enjoy the shade or the fruit of the tree because you planted a seed and worked so hard to grow it, 5, 10 years ago, whatever. That is the mentality of a successful entrepreneur. Not, I worked 5 hours this week, nothing happened, this business sucks, I'm giving up. The next thing is the difference between motivation and discipline. So I'll tell you a quick story, the difference between the two. Motivation is short-term. It's a quick spike. Discipline is the will, the determination to keep going regardless of what happens. Discipline gets you through the times when you have no motivation, because no one can be motivated all the time. All these people who jump around all over the place are happy forever are absolute rubbish. No one's happy all the time. Everyone has bad days. Lots of people have bad days. Doesn't mean you give up. You have the discipline to keep going. So I'll tell you a story about the mindset that I had when I was a young kid. When we started out with our very first business, we made no money. We just didn't know what the hell we were doing. We were kids trying hard. And we had a little office when we eventually got our office after a while, after starting out of my father's shed and that. But we had to pay rent. It wasn't much rent, but still there was rent and we didn't have any money. So while we were trying to get our software programs sold, which we weren't selling many of, I decided to teach mums at one school. They gave us an opportunity. I don't actually know how we landed up with that. But anyway, I was then teaching mums how to use Windows, because back in the 90s, Windows had just come on the scene. It was a change in whole scenery. You know, had a screen with colors and a mouse and the whole thing. So a lot of mums at home or little businesses want to learn how to use Windows. And the school set up a program and they asked me would I come and teach this, which I was grateful for because I could earn some money to pay the rent. But the trick was I had to drive an hour to the school from where I lived on a Tuesday and a Thursday night. So that's 2 hours after a full day. And so the diff was I motivated to do that? Yes, in the beginning, I was very excited. But after, 3, 4, 5 months of doing this, man, was I motivated? Not at all. Driving an hour after a full day of trying to build a business, teaching these women, they're lovely, for an hour and a half, then I drive home. I'll get home 11 o'clock at night. So, from a motivation perspective, that sucked. I was absolutely not motivated to do this, but I had the discipline to do it. And that really, all that did was pay our rent. Didn't make any money out of it. That's the difference. The next one is, I have no time. So everyone has the same amount of time, but what do you do with your time? And, is this taking you closer to your goals, or is it giving you instant rewards? You give yourself a treat because you've had a hard day, you think you deserve a reward, versus prioritizing a time. When someone says to you, when you ask them, oh, please, can you do this for me? Or did you remember to do that for me? And they say, oh, sorry, I didn't have time. What they're really saying to you is, you were not my focus. It wasn't important enough for me to do what you asked me. So they tell you a whole lot of rubbish that they didn't have time. Of course they had time. They had time to do whatever the hell they were trying to do, what's important to their lives. If you ever know a cigarette smoker and a person who loves coffee, the first thing they do in the morning is they get out of bed and they light their cigarette and they have their cup of coffee. It doesn't matter if World War III starting in 10 minutes, that World War III is going to be put on hold till they finish their coffee and their cigarettes. That is their priority in life. Nothing in the world matters. So it's what you prioritize that gives you the time to do what you need to do. Okay, so successful people is they have a priority each day, each hour, each minute. So what are they doing is taking them closer to their goals. You've probably heard the saying, if you want work done, give it to a busy, focused person, and it will just get done. Now, one of the comments you might be saying, well, I have no time, but I really am working really, really, really hard on my business. I'm trying all day. I work 12 hours in my business, so this doesn't apply to you. Well, that brings us to the next thing. You may be working hard, and this is the reason why smart people don't always make money, because there's a level of fear. And for me, this is the biggest reason out of this whole lot, because out of the fear comes all these other excuses. And the fear is, the truth is, and this is not something that's easy, but it's something you have to be aware of, and it's something that you have to work towards, and that is fear. If you're going to get results in your business, you have to be prepared to be in the spotlight and face the music of the couch warriors, or what do they call them? The keyboard warriors. All these chumps who love to run everyone down. You run a Facebook ad, and there's some clowns telling you what an idiot you are, and this thing. He's sitting on his mother's couch in his pajamas. He's done nothing, but he knows the world. He's happy to run you down. And basically what you got to do is get over these idiots. You have to ignore them, because this fear of criticism, risk, rejection. What are the things come up in people's minds? What if I make a mistake? What if I lose money? What will my friends, families think of me if I fail? I'm too scared to pick up the phone and sell to a client. What if I say the wrong thing or they don't like my product? I don't like selling. What about criticism? Like, criticism is a big, big thing. You know, people get defensive. They see it as a personal attack. And unfortunately, with social media and reviews today, this is another big, big problem. And it's hard. I mean, even when I got books on Amazon and someone writes a bad review, I think, how can you say it's a bad book? It's changed people's lives. It doesn't matter. There's some clown ripping it off, or someone puts up an advert. I know friends of mine run businesses. They're the best guys in the world. They're honest, really good. And I see the slandering comments of these idiots just tearing them apart because they think they can, and they do. But you can't stop that. What you got to do is you got to stop caring what these idiots think. You can't fall into the trap of these people. But this fear that you have, you can't stay behind your computer or your desk or behind your curtains of your safety of your home and build a business. I know there's people telling you out there, the con artists, this is the truth. They tap into all the stuff. So what do they say? You don't have to sell. You don't even have to open your computer. Whatever you do, you just have to sign up for this program. Follow these 5 steps and money just piles into your bank account. It's just absolute rubbish. They are there advertising in the first place to get you to do this stuff. They are here on video promoting this stuff. That's what you have to do. But they're telling you, you don't have to do this to get business. But there they are doing exactly the thing that they tell you don't have to do. This is why this is absolute rubbish. To be successful in business, you've got to lose the fear on all these levels I'm talking to you about. And basically what you have to do is, and this is over time, you just have to become resilient to what people think. I know when I work with people, the fear that they have when they start on the journey. But after a while, when you start to get a couple of wins and you start to believe in your products and services and what you're truly worth, you start to realize these other idiots are just not worth the pain and loss. They're just not worth the day of time. So get rid of them. When I started this business, this speaking stuff, my business, coaching business, 2008, whatever, my accountant in New Zealand, he's the chair of the institute. I told him I'm doing this thing. He says, well, I've worked with you. He helped me sell some of my businesses. He says, well, you've got a lot to offer businesses. I'll set up a presentation. And I'll, about 100, 120 people come to you to listen to your seminar. This is the first time I ever started doing business coaching. So I said, fantastic. So he got a room, he got 120 people rocked up there. And I'd never done a stage presentation in front of this lot of people. The first time I was trying to tell people I do business coaching and this is what I do. And I practiced and I rehearsed, but I still remember when the guys up there announcing, here's Luke, he's done all this and blah, blah. And I got up on the stage, I was shaking like I was petrified of these people. And to be honest, it was an absolute disaster. My wife came, she just was shaking her head at the mess I made. And it was an absolute balls up. But what I did was I faced the fear and I just had to see what happened. And I was petrified, but I did it anyway. And it didn't work out well at all. But what I had to do was learn what a mess I made of how to actually get on stage and actually do something properly, because I had no coaching. I just went for it. But what I learned through that journey, it wasn't the first time. You just got to stop caring what the hell other people think about you. You have to just get rid of that fear. Now, that doesn't happen in 5 minutes, but I'm telling you, it's something you have to do. The next thing, I have no money. Now, everyone has got money. If you want to buy something, you will find the money. It's not that you don't have the money, it's what you choose to do with your money. A lot of people would they'd rather go bankrupt, but they insist on looking rich and having instant gratification. That's their buzz in life. And as long as they die pretending to the world that they're rich and famous, whatever that means, even though their house is bankrupt and the family's dead, it doesn't matter. They went to the grave or lost their business looking like they had every success. So when I was a young kid, I was a young engineer. I just graduated from university and I stayed in like a commune. I don't know what, around the world, we've got people here all over the world. I don't know what, like a dig's, a commune where you shared like a house with other people. And some of my friends were there. And at that stage, I worked as a young engineer for probably 4 or 5 months, and I eventually did my nut. I just couldn't handle working someone else. I was so frustrated. I wanted to change the world, do my stuff thing. And so every night, every weekend, my partner Gary and I would be working on this business. The other people in the commune were out partying every night. They were out because they were working, so they had money. The money that I had, Gary had, we saved everything, every single cent, because we were trying to save up for a trade show, which was a lot of money, which we didn't have. So we had to save up for that. And we'd go out, like, for drinks on Friday night with these guys, and we wouldn't spend money on drinks. They would, but we were that disciplined because drinking was expensive. But I'm saying, like, these people had money. They spend all the money on stuff that this instant gratification. They have no money for something else. Everyone's got money. It's just what you choose to do with it. Successful people, what they do is they invest in themselves, the tools, the guidance, whatever you need to get to where you want to go. Because no one can get somewhere unless you've got the tools, the infrastructure to get you there. You've got to invest in yourself. No one who's ever been successful has not invested in himself in this process. No one who's successful, if you read any of these books, I'm not talking about the Bill Gates and all these famous people in the world. I'm just talking about the average people who make it through the rough patches. They have all stood on the shoulders of someone before them who's done the process. They call it the shoulders of giants, but not everyone's a giant. But a lot of people have got knowledge and stuff that you need. But there's a very important thing here. Like, saving doesn't make you rich. Saving doesn't give you double-digit growth. Saving is not how you make money in life. You've got to invest in yourself to make wealth. That's how you make money in life. You don't make money by saving money. It just doesn't work. People are happy to spend, $5,000 on a TV, $35,000 on new cars, $10,000 holidays, $350 dress, $300 for dinner. But when it comes to investing themselves so that they can earn money for life, a skill for life, they suddenly have no money. And that's just the mindset of an everyday dreamer. I see it all the time. So I know over the years, so many people, they can't invest in a course, they don't want to invest in health, they have no money. But then the next day you see them on Facebook, they're off to Bali for a $4,000 holiday, new skis, they've just bought a new car. And then 3-4 years later, you still see them on Facebook. They haven't moved 1 inch. They're still in debt. They're still trying to build a business. It's wasting their time. That's the mindset of a dreamer. The next thing is being stuck in the twigs or having no plan. So have you ever watched ants, like the little insect ants, try to find their way across the kitchen floor into the cupboard to the sugar or the biscuits? In my house, it's probably easy. My kids make such a mess. But in a normal house, they come across a box on the floor, a shoe, the dog's basket, chairs, boxes. Every time they hit an obstacle, they have to go around it until they eventually get their goal. Now, but these ants, they get caught at every single obstacle. But of course, there's another 25 million behind them all pushing them along. But many of these ants on this journey to find food and water, particularly times of drought and scarce food, whatever, die. And the people with this mindset in business are no different. They get stuck on the color of their logo. A client told them that they were useless and you shouldn't be in business, and then they collapse on the floor. They get stuck in the twigs. Okay, whereas the successful people have a clear map out and they focus on the prize. So what am I talking about, map out versus no plan? Imagine if you could help that ant on his journey, because you're looking from the top. You're looking on the kitchen table down at this row of ants all crashing and banging into things along the floor, trying to find the sugar bowl up on the table. Imagine if you could draw a line for the ant all around these obstacles, straight up the drawers, around the toaster, and there's the sugar bowl. How easy would that road be compared to I have no plan, just crashing into everything along the way? And so, like successful people, you think of yourselves as like a captain of a ship in a terrible storm. You need to keep focused on the prize. If you're steering a huge ship into harbor, you got to focus on that lighthouse. You can't be worried about the waves and all the rocks lying all over the place, because you will crash and burn, and you got to keep focused on that lighthouse. That is your guiding light. That's the prize. And many people would rather go bankrupt. They would rather lose anything. I know personal friends, not one, a handful. I know business. I know to help people in business. They refused my help because it was an ego thing. It's a pride thing. I don't know, that maybe thought, well, if I ask for help, my wife's going to think I'm a disaster, or I'm going to think they're an idiot for asking for help. Anyway, regardless, they lost their homes, they lost their businesses. And I think you're a bloody idiot. You truly are. You had the help. I could have helped you. What have you done? Look at the situation. Just forget about the pride and all your bloody rubbish you have in your head, and think about the bigger picture, your family, whatever. And that for me it's an unbelievable tragedy that I see going on around me. And these are people that I know, never mind all the other people out there. The next thing is play below the line, which I touched on earlier. So I actually, with my children are a bit older now, but when they were younger, they had a line in their bedrooms. And I used to explain this concept to them, and I drilled it into their head. And I think it's worked. Every now and then I see it slipping, but I give them a quick reminder. People who play below the line, they're always the victim. Life is always unfair to them. They're always blaming someone else for their situation. They love excuses why they never get anything done. And they don't accept responsibility. It's just the way they are. Successful people play above the line. Take responsibility of where you are at right now. You are where you are because of it's your decisions, not anyone else's. I know that's hard. That's the truth. Take responsibility for all your actions, and not have excuses and cover up for everything. Like, solve problems, create solutions, play above the line. That is how you move forward in life. You move nowhere. And I can tell you something. People who play below the line get no respect from people who are successful. People who are late, they show up, they don't do this, they don't do that. Eventually you just become a clown with the rest of them, because producers produce, achievers achieve. This lot, nothing happens. That's the truth. So this mindset that I'm telling you about, all I'm saying is this is the difference in mindset. Another catastrophe I see is the cheap mindset syndrome. This is not understanding the real cost of getting help, trying to go cheap and do things yourself. People who do this just don't understand how money works. They just don't. So let me show you an example. This is not the exact picture, but I actually took a picture of premises, commercial premises up the road from me. And the landlord created a sign like this. This is not the exact one because I couldn't find the picture for this webinar. But the premises, he said like for lease, written like this, all cramped up, with the call is 041 cell number, written like this. Who the hell's going to rent a commercial premises with a sign like this? And I actually phoned the number because I knew one day I was going to be talking about this, because this illustrated exactly the point I'm talking about. And he wanted $3,500 a month for the premises, because it was quite a big premises. But if he went through an agent and got a professional sign, he would have to pay the first month's fee to the agent, which was $3,500. He said, oh, no, wait, that's too expensive. I'm going to be very clever and do a sign myself. So the place sat empty for 7 months. Actually, I think it was even longer. But it was around 7 months, because I used to monitor this. And I used to tell my wife, Michelle, look at this idiot. I guarantee you how much money, like, mark my words, true as God. 7 months later, his place was still for rent with this funny sign. $3,500 times 7 is $24,500 this idiot lost, because he is trying to save $3,500. This is just not smart. This mindset is endemic. It's everywhere. And it's very hard to break. It's very hard to break and try and tell someone.